It's all gone, vanished from the face of the earth. That's what people in Jamaica are saying as they try to describe what's left of their towns. But here's the part no one's talking about. What caused it? But don't you worry, I'm gonna tell you all about it. And right off the bat, let's make one thing crystal clear. This wasn't just another hurricane. This was something else entirely. The devastation we're seeing here is on a scale that makes no sense. I mean, here's what the parish of St. Elizabeth looked like before, and here's what's left of all its communities.
We are in Black River. Black River has been devastated by Hurricane Melissa. A number of the communities across Southwest England, all the way from Treasure Beach, almost 90% of the houses have suffered infrastructural damage. The Prime Minister was with us today on the ground, seeing firsthand entities like the Black River Hospital, Porthouse Parish Council, all of those cannot function because, again, they have been destroyed.
Entire towns erased. The streets that once overflowed with life are now nothing but silence and debris. And this isn't just St. Elizabeth. The same devastation stretches across the island.
Look, there are people, see the cars going, people, the guide post, look at people. I told you it's going, people. The whole community is going to go, people, look at it. Look what's happening now, people. Tap up the live people and share the live people. See, that's a car. It's leaving, more people.
There's no power. The roads are gone. Entire regions have been cut off, and no one even knows how many people are missing or dead.
Hurricane Melissa making a direct hit on Jamaica. The Prime Minister declaring the entire island a disaster area, many parts cut off by flooding, and power is out across nearly 80% of the island.
Why them people are them
You can see now it is nothing but debris and rubble. Roadways here very treacherous to get in and around different neighborhoods, and there are still parts of this island that are virtually inaccessible.
Now they're blaming it on yet another once-in-a-century storm, but that's not really true, is it? Because Melissa wasn't just a hurricane. This was the strongest storm ever recorded to make landfall.
Melissa's going to go down into the history books as the strongest hurricane that we know of to ever make landfall, the strongest landfalling hurricane that we know of in the Atlantic Basin since we've been keeping records going back to the mid-1800s.
All these meteorologists were shocked and were calling it unreal. And that's because it probably was. A storm this exact, this surgical, hitting right as Jamaica moves toward AI systems, digital IDs, and centralized control grids. That's not just bad weather, that's a precision strike. Within a few hours, old Jamaica gets wiped away. And now, like clockwork, they'll rebuild, but not for the people. They'll roll out a grid of so-called 15-minute cities, neat little boxes where you're tracked, scored, and watched 24/7. And if your carbon credits run out, you don't move, you don't buy, you basically stop living like a human being. That's what smart cities look like in their 2030 agenda.
What is the policy vision?
Every Jamaican is consuming goods and services above the minimum acceptable national standards and has equal and equitable opportunities and support to achieve and maintain income security and improved quality of life.
What are the policy goals?
The national poverty goals are to eradicate extreme food poverty and reduce absolute poverty to significantly below 10% by 2030. These goals are fully aligned with the Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan, Jamaica Social Protection Strategy, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Now, they can build as many of them as they want in Jamaica without any resistance from the local population. Clearly, none of this is spontaneous. It's all laid out in a blueprint they created back in 2020. They've told us again and again how they will force collaboration and how every disaster is just another opportunity for them to gain even more control over our lives.
To drive future economic growth, we must embrace innovation and foster collaboration across sectors, regions, nations, and cultures to create a more peaceful, inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future. Our annual risk report 2025 identifies the foremost risks such as armed conflicts, extreme weather events, misinformation and disinformation, increasing divisions within societies, within countries, cyber espionage, and many more. Simultaneously, we stand at the brink of what we call here the intelligent age. The intelligent age is occurring at an exponential pace, carrying unprecedented risks for humanity. It also offers significant opportunities.
It's hard not to ignore the pattern anymore. Every time we see an unexplainable disaster or a record-breaking storm, it seems to strike right where new smart city projects are being developed. Take Maui, for example. Months before the fires that destroyed Lahaina, there were local meetings about turning parts of the island into a model for smart infrastructure. People even tried to expose how pretty much all the government departments were backing those smart city plans.
My name is Gary Cordery. Lived here on Oahu since 1980. Father, grandfather. This is an emotional meeting. Nani, you mentioned a moment ago, this is not about Maui. This is absolutely about Maui. I can tell you, Department of Planning, DLNR, DBED, Housing, all of these agencies, and I'm not saying to you directly, but you're here representing these agencies, therefore, it is your responsibility to tell the truth. Each one of these agencies have signed on as stakeholders for the redevelopment of a smart city in Maui. I'm asking you again, who has signed on?
And in a surprise to no one, when those fires started, people belonging to these same departments and agencies refused to do their jobs and save lives.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens? I do not. The sirens, as I mentioned earlier, is used primarily for tsunamis, and that's the reason why many of them are found, almost all of them are found on the coastline.
The commission is responsible per our authorizing statute to protect and manage all water resources in the state. One Water is like taking it and looking at it from a holistic system perspective. And that's not any different than how Hawaiians traditionally managed water. You know, and in essence, we treated Native Hawaiians treated water as one of the earthly manifestations of a god and a kua, kane.
As for how the fire even began, all signs pointed to Hawaiian Electric and their negligence, allegedly.
New details now on what could have started one of the Lahaina wildfires on Maui earlier this month. According to the Hawaiian Electric Company, power lines that fell during high winds seem to have caused the morning fire on August 8th.
And here's where it gets very interesting. BlackRock holds a massive stake in Hawaiian Electric. And in a twist that should surprise absolutely no one, BlackRock's CEO, Larry Fink, is now one of the leading voices at the World Economic Forum. Coincidence or just another piece of the same puzzle? Now, this strange pattern doesn't stop there. Hurricane Milton was another anomaly, a storm so unpredictable that even meteorologists couldn't explain how it kept gaining strength.
Just an incredible hurricane. It has dropped It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours. I apologize. This is just horrific.
When it finally hit Tampa, the destruction was beyond anything the city had ever seen. Thousands of homes were either damaged or completely wiped out at a time when home insurance was getting out of reach for most people in Florida.
Oh, it fucking did. Yeah, it did. What, with the red bubbles.
And while residents struggled to piece their lives back together, they discovered something chilling. Tampa, too, was already being rebranded as a 15-minute city. Around that same time, something else came to light. Bill Gates apparently has the technology to control hurricanes.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder. But now the billionaire may be known as the hurricane tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Hurricanes gain strength from condensation driven by warm surface water, which leads to greater wind speeds. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes.
Of course, he claims he's moved on from messing with the weather.
Climate is a super important problem. There's enough innovation here to avoid super bad outcomes.
And when asked about his new plans, here's what he said.
Measure, should we get them a measles vaccine or should we do some climate related activity? And if we stop funding all vaccines and that, saved you 0.1 degree, would that be a smart trade-off?
If you've been paying attention, you probably noticed he said something eerily similar during that private dinner with the president.
And my second career is innovation, innovating in health in areas like vaccines or gene editing. And the president and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate some of these diseases. He mentioned polio, which is one that we're close. We don't need new science on that one. For some like HIV and sickle cell, we do need new science, but the U.S. Has the seeds that in the same way that Warp Speed took those seeds and put them together, I think something fantastic can be done. AI for our foundation is that we want a doctor for everyone in Africa through AI.
Now, going back to the globalists, it's clear they still weren't done using disasters to push their agenda, because just months later, Los Angeles went up in flames. A record-breaking fire tore through the city, and while homes were burning and people were dying, Governor Gavin Newsom was already talking about land grabs and redevelopment plans for a so-called new Los Angeles.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks. But also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team of looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast.
And of course, surprise, surprise, Los Angeles is also part of the Smart City program.
Officer at the City of Los Angeles. As you know, we live in a world full of urban challenges. From traffic congestion that takes our time and pollutes our environment, to natural disasters that threaten the safety of our communities. To address these challenges, Los Angeles looks to smart city technology that can positively transform our urban environment.
What's crazy is many people think that they intentionally allowed this to happen. City officials had warned that cutting the fire department's budget could turn one spark into a citywide disaster. But Mayor Karen Bass, well, she refused to listen.
At that commission meeting, you said, it's dire, someone will die.
It's eerie listening to your words, because that's what occurred.
Now, if you're still wondering what's so dangerous about these smart cities, here's your answer. In Baltimore, police stormed a high school after an AI surveillance system mistook a bag of Doritos for a gun.
Mistake by an AI detection system in Maryland that led Baltimore County Police to put a teenager in handcuffs.
With guns drawn, Baltimore County Police surrounded a group of students at Kenwood High School Monday night after the OmniAlert AI gun detection system warned school leaders that the student had a gun.
So basically the cameras around the system, they pick up on things that look like guns. I guess just the way you guys were eating chips, Doritos or whatever, it picked it up as a gun.
So let me ask you this. Who would have been held responsible if someone had been shot? Maybe the same people who thought this was a good idea to begin with.
Securing schools, we think we can absolutely lock down schools so that dramatically reduce the case of anyone being on campus that doesn't belong on campus, and immediately alert. Second someone pulls out a gun, immediately alert. Use AI cameras to immediately recognize that.
Now imagine that level of AI surveillance everywhere, all the time. No privacy, no mistakes allowed, and no way out. And that is what no one else will tell you about this disaster in Jamaica.